But other than that, so I only bought the $30 pack. Whoa, did you guys see that? Did you guys see that? I mean, I'm gonna have to censor that, but dude, it just showed that girl naked right there, man. I can't believe I just saw that. Holy crap, bro. Oh man, like what is going on over here? I'm gonna have to look on the playback on that one. Maybe I'm losing my mind. If that was really there, that's going at the very beginning of the video, man. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So I've been playing Path of Exile 2 for a few hours now, and I just felt like I wanted to come out and make a video about my first impressions of the game. Now, really quick, because this is obviously live, and it is going to continue scrolling, and I just want to point this out. Path of Exile elitists, I think you guys need to calm down, because telling people they're stupid because they don't understand the gems over here in the chat is definitely not going to be good for any casual player who's trying to come into the game, or just somebody who's trying to play this game just for the first time. I mean, I've been seeing this pretty much the entire time that I've been playing the game. It's not like someone just, told me I was stupid, or I put something in the chat and someone told me I was dumb and it pissed me off and it made me want to make sure I mention that. No, I just happened to literally just be reading this chat right here right before I push record, and I just saw all of this, and it's kind of like, come on, guys. Like this poor kid over here is being called dumb. This guy's calling, you are dumb, bro. Like this is not an easy game. I can say that already from playing it. Even just a little bit that I've played it, I can tell it's not a very easy game. But then again, I don't really think Diablo 2 is a very easy game either. Now that I've pointed that out, I will go ahead and just go right through this here. I'm trying to make it a little snappier for you guys. I just wanted to mention that before it disappeared in this chat forever. So I have been playing Diablo 2 and pretty much all Diablo games for a very long time. So I am somebody who can jump into this game and see the similarities there, and it isn't really that overwhelming to me. Now, I bring that up because not only what I was just talking about, but I've been playing with my girl, and she, I would say, is a casual player. I wouldn't call her like a hardcore Diablo player or anything. And so I might as well just go ahead and talk about that stuff first. Now, I will say, let me preface all this. I do like it, and there are things I freaking love about this game, especially considering the fact that I've never played Path of Exile before. So just being a Diablo 2 player, if you were to have me summarize everything I'm about to tell you, if you are a Diablo player, especially if it is, 3, 4, 2, whatever, you're probably going to like this game. In fact, let me click out of here real quick. I'll just say one thing I love about this game right off the bat here is look at this inventory right here, man. If you took a screenshot of this and you traveled back in time and you said, hey, man, this is what Diablo 3 is going to look like, I would have believed you, man, because this looks just like the Diablo 2 inventory screen, does it not? Man, as soon as I opened that, because I swear to God, I've really never played Path of Exile, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this is the one. That's exactly what I was thinking, man. I was like, dude, this is the one. Let's do this. Let's go. So I really dig this. I appreciate it. And I can definitely tell that the people who made this game really care about the ARPG genre. So there you go. But back to my point there, I want to first say I am playing this on PC. So this user interface that I'm using right now is what we see on PC, right, guys? So right, this is PC, you can tell that's the one I'm using. You go over here, you click the little button, you can go to these different screens and all that. We got our character screen over here, all that good stuff. Now, we got the skills. If you haven't played this on console, you might not know this, but this does not, in my opinion, this does not really transfer over very well. for console players. And that, again, is why I was bringing up my girl in this, because I'm using her as an example as like a casual player. When we started playing, she opened up her inventory, and just started looking at all these screens, right? And she was pretty much instantaneously overwhelmed and almost wanted to just be like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to play it. I'm going to go play D4, which is understandable because this is obviously a game that is made for like the hardcore player, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I am a hardcore player, so I will obviously love this regardless of if I have anyone to play the game with or not. I'm going to love it because it's just what I like. I mean, there's a lot of good things to be said about this, but I just want to get that off my chest because it's the number one thing that I'm taking away from playing this is that I don't want to say it needs to be like dumbed down or anything like that, but I feel like the way the user interface is right now is going to be very hard for casual players to comprehend. And I'm not trying to say anyone's dumb. I'm not trying to be that Path of Exile elitist I was just talking about, especially because I've never even freaking played this game until today. But I can completely understand why a casual would open this, right, and see this skill panel here and just be completely confused. I know, and that's just the skill panel. Like, we're not even talking about like the skill tree. Like, look at this, man. Look at this, man. This is nuts. Now, I have two feelings on this because part of me is in the mindset that I was just talking about, being like, man, I feel bad for the people that have never played an ARPG before. Earlier today, there was somebody in this little chat being like, hey, I've never actually played an ARPG game before. All I've ever really played is Souls-like games, and I've been loving it. And I can see why they're loving it because it has a very steep difficulty curve to where if you're not actually trying to be good, you're not going to be good, right? But even he was like, I just don't understand this whole passive thing. And I completely get that because this is definitely very, very overwhelming. And you know what? I'd be willing to make you guys a bet. I'd be willing to bet that 9 to 10% of people who buy this game or start playing it free whenever it's out in the full release are going to look at this and be like, yeah, I'm out. They're just going to bounce, man, because they don't want to deal with this. Right? They have no freaking clue how to deal with this. And it's understandable. It is very understandable because I haven't gone through all this stuff myself. The reason why I kind of dig it is because I have a feeling that obviously, I mean, this is just kind of a very exaggerated, you could say it's an exaggerated Paragon board, right? From D4, the Paragon board. That thing was pretty effing confusing too for a lot of people at first. But then eventually you learn it and you're fine. And what I like about this is I really feel like this gives me the options here, right, to really customize my character. So I'm digging that because I can already tell, like, you see like all these different abilities I can get and use, these different passives I can add to, my character. This is great. This is freaking great. And I can totally see myself playing this game for the next 20 years simply based on this freaking passive board right here. And that has nothing to do with the skills. But along the lines of the skills in the game, now they look great. I'm not going to sit here and say they don't look good or anything or don't play well. They do. And to be fair, I've only played as a sorceress so far. My girl tried to play as a warrior. She wasn't digging it. So she tried to play as a sorceress. She wasn't really digging it that much. So she tried to play as a witch. She seems to like that, but now she's kind of gone back to the sorceress. And by the way, the sorceress in this game is kind of a glass cannon. So just be aware of that. Now, I know, obviously, someone in the comments is probably going to be like, bro, you don't know what the hell you're doing because the sorceress is super powerful and you can make her a tank. I probably can, but I've only been playing this game for like 4 or 5 hours, so please Don't eviscerate me in the comments when it comes to, what I can or cannot do with the sorceress. I simply don't know yet. Now, this right here, though, is definitely something I think, well, I want to say that it's something that they could streamline, but I don't really know how you would do it. Because my question is this: to a casual player out there who's never played in this genre before, how are they supposed to have any inkling of what to do here? I mean, yeah, you can get a build guide. Right now, I don't think there is any build guides because they haven't been made yet, because the game was just released. But obviously, in the future, you probably can go out and get a build guide, and that makes sense. I understand why you would be saying that. But the thing is I don't want to say it because it's kind of taboo in this genre of video games, right? To say that maybe you should have some kind of guided program or tutorial. I don't know what you would call it, but I really think it would be very beneficial to the game if they can add something in here to where maybe, like, say, if you want to be a cold source, right? Like, I'm just going to throw an example out there. Obviously, these guys are way smarter than me, so this might be a shit example, and if it is, I apologize. But, like, say we have a menu, right, where it says, okay, you're a sorceress. Do you want to use fire skills? Do you want to do lightning? Do you want to do ice? What do you want to do? And you could pick one. And then they could have, like, you see how right here, how the line's orange right here, indicating that I can either pick this one or I can pick this one, right? Or maybe it'd be a better example if I did it over here, right? Or I can pick this one or this one. So it would probably be really cool and very beneficial, at least to the casual player, if they had something to where you could click on, I want to be an ice sorceress, right? And it would have, like, different options here, right? Like orange lines that say, okay, well, if you want to be an ice sorceress, follow this path, and this will be a good, a good way for you to actually be an ice nova source, or follow this path, and that'll be a really good way for you to be a frozen shard source, and yada yada. And I really feel like that would help a lot of people out a lot. But I do also have to remember that this game really isn't made for those kinds of people. Now, I want to see this game succeed, and I'm pretty sure it's going to succeed considering the fact that I had like 1 million people watching the streams for this today on Twitch. That was freaking insane. I've never seen that in my life for a video game like that. But I do want to say, oh man, a lot of people are not going to like this. Now a lot of people are going to freaking love it. I love it personally, but that's because I want to go through and play all these different builds, right? And I want to test all this stuff. So I don't want to knock it too much. And I don't want to say it's bad, because it really isn't bad. But at the same time, when you have a game that you want to be, popular and make lots and lots of money, it's good to be able to make it accessible to not only the hardcores, but also like the casual players out there as well. So let's talk about a couple more points real quick. Now, I do want to say that I remember now, I specifically wanted to point out that I feel like the launch of this was a lot better than Diablo 4. Was it great? No. But you know what? A lot of people wanted to play this, so I'm not surprised that the servers were down for a while. It took me like a good 3 or 4 hours to even log into the game, because the servers were down for so long earlier today. But that's fine with me, because I already knew that was going to happen. And anybody here who played Diablo 4 at launch can tell you that, I mean, that game was pretty much down almost an entire day or two, if I remember correctly. It took forever to actually get into Diablo 4 when it first came out. So I do feel like GGG did better than Blizzard in terms of getting this game online, up and running, than freaking Blizzard did, which kind of blows my mind, because I mean, it's Blizzard. You would think a company that literally has Battle.net, right, and has their own servers and all this, would be able to get their game, up and running faster than this company GGG over here that doesn't have all the resources of a company like Blizzard. But for some crazy reason, these guys did it better. What does that tell you about Blizzard, man? That's pretty bad. I did have a little bit of issues with it, but not a whole lot. And as you can see now, I'm in the game. So I was able to eventually make it onto the game. And ever since then, I was queued one time. There was only one instance where I had to wait through a queue to get onto the game. And then after that, every time after that, I've been able to just log in. So in my opinion, I feel like that's a win for GGG. I really do, because they did it way better than most companies do it. They really did. And it really opened my eyes to really show me like how crap Blizzard could really be. Oh, like how crap Blizzard could really be when it comes to starting some of their games. So yeah, there's the thumbs up for GGG right there. Now, I will say there are a couple of issues though that I think need to be addressed as soon as possible when it comes to their servers. So when you start the game, it'll put you in a default server. My understanding, and anybody can go ahead and correct me, I'm fine with that. Feel free to say something in the comments about this, but usually there is like a base location depending on where you live that it sends you to that specific server. And if that specific server is just completely swamped, it'll send you to a different one. Usually it's the one that has the best ping, it'll send you there, right? And that's what happens in Apex Legends, that's what happens with Fortnite, we're not going to go into all that crap. But the point being is my girlfriend's playing 10 feet away from me, guys. And so I played this game, and the game put me on the server for Washington, D.C., which I don't have an issue with. That's not that far. I'm in Michigan, so that's not a big deal. But it puts her into the servers for Texas for some reason. And that was really messing with our game. Now, I eventually did just have her switch it over so that we could be on the same server. But even then, and maybe this is because this is the very first day and they don't have all this stuff ironed out yet. And there is a very good chance that it just happens to be that the Washington, D.C. server, by the time I got onto it, was just too overcrowded. So they sent her to a Texas server. But that doesn't explain what I'm about to get into. So me and her, let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, so I made a guild. All right, the name of this guild is Boss Tech. All right, if you want to join my guild, feel free to jump in. I don't know if you can just do that or not, or you can ask for an invite, because I haven't been playing very long yet. But if you want to join it, feel free. Let me know. I'll take a look at your character, yada yada, and then I'll put you down into the guild if you're even interested. But so made her an officer over here. So we are in the same guild, right? And then so I make a party and I put her into the party with me. And there is no clear indication here of how to actually bring your friend or someone from your guild or your party into your world, into your lobby, is what I should say, at all. I had to go online and figure out how to do this. And the answer to it is you put out a town portal once you leave town, and then they can transfer over into your world. But here's the thing about that, and maybe it's because we were having that server issue there, but that I was just talking about. But we would be playing, and I would go into, I think there's this part in the beginning of the game called the Mud Burrow or something like that. We would go in there, and she would be gone. And she couldn't see me, I couldn't see her. We were no longer in the same world anymore. And I would have to put out another portal, and she would either have to find the portal in the town, or I would have to go into town and then port back to the Mud Burrow and then put out another portal for her to be able to see my portal in the Mud Burrow from town to get into the Mud Burrow, and so then she could see me again, which I guess isn't that big of a deal. But when it happens to you every single time you go in to an instance, right? Like every time you go into a Mud Burrow, every time you leave the Mud Burrow and you go back into, what was it, Clearfell or something like that. Yeah, Clearfell, right? Every time that we would go in somewhere where there was some kind of like load screen / you're entering this place, yada yada, we couldn't find each other. And she was in my party, in my guild, standing right next to me the second before that, and we would literally have to get back together. And even after we changed the servers, we still had to do that. So for all the crap I just talked about Blizzard, they had that fixed day one. You know, that was never even an issue for Blizzard when it came to D4. Once you went into their world, it would ask you, are you sure you want to transfer to the world of the party leader, blah, blah, blah. And you would click yes, and you would just be there, right, with that person, and you wouldn't have to go through all of this. So I'm not exactly sure why that is happening. I don't know if it is a server issue where there's just too many people on the server for it to actually be able to, you know, understand that, hey, these two people are supposed to be together. I guess it just wouldn't bug me as much if it wasn't for the fact that we're literally in the same party, in the same guild. That, can someone explain this to me? It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't understand how a game company could even like not think about that before they do it. Another thing that I kind of didn't like about it was, and I guess I should be okay with this because I'm used to this, because I've been playing Diablo 2 for so long, but loot is not personalized in this one. So if we fight a boss and the boss drops something, then it is literally rules of old school Diablo 2, where the first person to click on it is going to get that item, and the other person just shit out of luck. You know, if you want whatever thing that you're trying to get from that boss yourself, either A, you need to play alone, or B, you got to fight the boss twice and let the other person get the loot from the drop. I don't like that at all. I at least wish like there was some kind of option where you could just be like, okay, you know, like I want personalized loot. Now, to be fair, I guess there's so many freaking options in this game that I guess I really shouldn't be complaining about this. But it's just always bothered me when that happens to me, especially if, like, say in the future I have 4 or 5 people in my group or something, and we're all trying to fight a boss, and now every single time the boss dies, you know, there's always that one dude. You know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're probably that dude, right, who doesn't care about anybody else in the party. And as soon as that stuff drops, either they have like an auto pickup where it just, you know, keeps clicking over and over and over again until he gets the first one, or it turns into a situation where he's right there and he stays right there so that he can pick everything up, and then he just boom leaves the game and he's gone after getting all the loot. And I don't want to have to deal with that again. I already had to deal with that for years with Diablo 2, and I really don't want to have to deal with that again here. So I'm really hoping that gets changed. I don't know if that's something they have planned. I don't know if maybe I'm just a moron and there is an option in there in all of the settings, you know, because there is a lot of settings, as you guys can see. Which, by the way, this is great for PC, but there are a couple things here too. Now, you can play as if you were a controller player on PC. Obviously, I'm not using a controller, which is why it's showing up as a mouse. But if you do, you can. The options there. It says it's partially compatible with the controller at this point. So I don't know if that means that they're going to like fix it so that it is completely compatible with the controller or not. Honestly, me personally, I don't give a F because I've always been PC Master Race, baby. You know, so I am totally fine with using a mouse. But, you know, there is going to be those people that want to be able to play controller, and you can at this point, but there are some issues with it, so just be aware of that. Or at least that's what I've heard. So, another thing, though, I wanted to point out was at first, when I opened up the menu, I was like, oh my god, dude, there's an item filter in this game. I was like, holy crap, bro, there is an item filter in this game. But here's the issue, and so please be aware of this. There actually is no item filter. Because as you can see here, it says none, right? Now what you have to do is you have to actually download one and put it in this folder, right? Either online filters or the PoE2 production. So please be aware that, yes, you can get an item filter. I haven't done it myself yet, so I can't give you any good recommendations. But you have to download one, it appears, to actually be able to use the item filter. But it's cool that there's at least an option in-game for it, you know, because I mean, dude, with Diablo 4, we'll never get that. I guarantee you that one. What did it take them, like, over a year to implement a search bar for D4? So, yeah. Another thing, now this one is specifically, don't save, sorry guys. So this one is specifically for PlayStation 5. With my PC, I have a freaking amazing PC. I love my PC. So as you can tell, it's running just fine here on my PC. But on the PS5, and again, hopefully this will get fixed, but on the PS5, I was watching my girl play and the screen tearing was absurd. I could not believe how bad the screen tearing was for PlayStation 5, because I was always under the impression that to get your game onto a console, it has to be approved by the console manufacturer as actually being stable. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. And I don't know how this game got out of testing, although I suppose you could say we're testing the game now, but I don't know how it came out of testing with all of the screen tearing that was going on. And I do understand that there will be those of you out there that are like, oh, he's just nitpicking, you know, about the screen tearing. And I eventually did get it minimalized by changing some of her settings in PS5. And if you play Xbox, let me know. If you're playing this on Xbox, tell me, do you have that issue too? Did you have that issue too? I'm just curious because I'd really like to know. But at least on the PS5, maybe I am nitpicking, but the thing is it was so freaking bad that I felt like I had to point it out. And I want you to think about something for a second here. I really, really, really just want to say this game is effing amazing, because to me, in my heart, this literally feels like the real Diablo 3 in my heart. Maybe that sounds weird to you guys, but I think some of you Diablo 2 players will understand why I'm saying that, because I can completely see the Diablo influence in this, to the point where it feels amazing. I'm excited, man. Like, I'm happy that this is a thing. I can't wait to get into this game, because for the first time in years, I found a game that's pretty much the spiritual successor to Diablo 2. And maybe that's my fault for sleeping on Path of Exile in general, but it really feels that way to me. So I don't want to say bad things about this, but I just have to point out some of the things that I think are going to be something holding the game back. Do I think they have a lot of issues to fix? No, not really. Not really. And maybe you won't believe that, because I've just spent, let me look here. So before I edit this video, it's been about 30 minutes. So I've just spent about 30 minutes telling you about things I didn't really like all that much. But to be fair, I did tell you some of the things I do like. And there is a lot to love about this. I saw in the comments of a different video, and I remember, sorry, I wanted to bring this up too, but someone was saying, oh, you know, lol, Diablo 4 is all open world, and you guys have to, you know, click on these little icons over here and stuff. That's the microtransaction shop. One sec, I was trying to find my map. Let's see if I can pull it up, world screen. So yeah, they were talking crap about this right here. Be like, oh, well, you have to click on the little icon, man, you know, to go over there and to go over here and blah, blah, blah. But let me tell you something. When you're in the world, walking around, this is pretty much all seamless. Now, obviously, it's not a complete open world, but you don't really notice, man. So I don't really count that as like a viable thing to say as a put down for this game, because yes, this is what the map looks like, but it is extremely seamless, and it's not like this is what it really is. Like, I have to click here like I'm playing Super Mario World or some crap like that, you know, from the original Super Nintendo days, and you'd see my little character going do 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 do, right? No, that's not what this is like. So I don't know what the hell that guy was talking about, and I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. This is another thing too I want to talk about. I'm happy someone said that in the chat. The WASD movement. So I did play with it for a little bit. Me personally, I do prefer mouse. It's just better to me. I just like it better. But it all does come down to personal preference. But what I will say is, if you feel like you are dying a lot And let me tell you, if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna die a lot. But if that's you, give the WASD movement a try. If you're on PC, obviously if you're on a controller, then it's gonna be, you know, what it is. You're not really gonna be able to change that. But the WASD movement is a little bit more intuitive, and I feel has a little bit more response to it. And in a game like this, an action RPG where you need to be dodging constantly and trying to not get hit, because we all know the best defense is not getting hit. You'll be fine if you never get hit. The WASD movement can get you out of little binds that you find yourself in a little bit better than just like point and click. Because the issue with the point and click is I point over here to hit something, but my character will start to walk towards that enemy too at the same time. So, you know, it just depends. Now, I don't really care because I've been playing point and click ARPGs for pretty much my whole life. So I never really have that issue. You know, if I think someone's going to hit me, I'm just dodging. Which, by the way, actually, I freaking love the dodge button. It is great. I know that's something very small to bring up, but I love this. This whole dodge mechanic, the evade here, this is great. Now, that was also in Diablo 4, but I feel like they did a really good job with implementing this, and I'm very thankful that they did, because it does add a lot of skill in terms of actually playing the game. So it's not like you're just omni-powerful and it can just blow everything away. Well, maybe I will be like that when I play this game for the next 500, 400 hours, but there is skill involved. So it reminds me of Lost Ark in that way. Now, obviously it's not quite as involved as Lost Ark, because Lost Ark, there was a lot of, it was like freaking Devil May Cry in an ARPG. So it isn't quite up to that par yet, but it is still pretty good. And I really think that there's a lot of potential there. I hope I never have to see it in Diablo 2 ever, even though it's already in there, which I think was the dumbest thing they've ever done. But I really think they only did that because they wanted to try to get some of these other Path of Exile players to actually go into Diablo 2, because it is kind of dying, which I don't really care about, because, I mean, bro, for years there was like 1,000 people playing Diablo 2, right? If that. And I'm pretty sure I will still be playing Diablo 2 at some point after I get bored of this game. Now, that might take a little while, but I'll eventually go back to that game, because I always do. And in my opinion, Diablo 2 is probably the best game of all time. Now, a lot of people laugh at me when I say that, but I have to give it the credit that it deserves, because anytime I play a game and I get bored with it, I just go back to D2. Right? Play any game, go back to D2. Play any game, go back to D2. So how can I sit here and tell you guys that it, in my opinion, is not the best game of all time? If it's the game, it's my base game. It's basically just base game. But anyways, we're getting off topic now. So let's go on to a different issue that I actually did want to talk about as well. This one I wouldn't say is like bad or good per se. It just kind of depends on your feelings on the whole hardcore versus casual player thing. Now, hardcore players aren't going to care about this, but the difficulty is pretty freaking hard. If you are a casual, I can see you playing this game for an hour and never playing it ever again, simply because of the difficulty. And at this moment, there isn't like an option to actually move it down a difficulty setting, and I kind of wish there was, if for no other reason, simply for newer players who don't understand the game yet, for them to actually be able to play the game and enjoy it without having to feel like they're beating their head against the wall over and over and over again, because they keep fighting that same first boss, the Devourer or whatever its name is, and they get hit with his poison, and then they just melt, and then they have to fight that thing 50 times before they actually beat it. So it would be nice if they could actually get the difficulties in there. I know that might be a lot, but in my opinion, it would help the game out tremendously. Now, another thing I want to touch on real quick, and I'm sorry for doing this, but like I said, this is like a first impressions video, and it probably won't be heavily edited or anything. I just want to get out my raw first thoughts about this from a Diablo 2 player who's never played Path of Exile. So I am jumping back a little bit, but I really need them to fix the whole guild thing and the world issue that I've been having, because especially that loot table thing, because I feel like they're encouraging people to play solo. And that's all well and good. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. But for people like me who have other people that want to play with him, and there's other people that I want to be in my guild, and I want to have a party, and, you know, I want to go out there and have a group of friends to play the game with, the individual loot thing, man, just really kills the enjoyment of it for me. It really does. And I know that's such a weird sticking point to have and to bring up over and over again, but I just really don't like it, man. That's going to add so much more time to the grind, and it makes me want to just play by myself, because at least then I know, right, that I will get all of that loot, and I won't have to constantly be worrying about, oh, well, you know, they dropped a sword. I'm a sorceress. I should give the sword over to the warrior, and yada yada. You guys don't need any more examples about that one. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it just feels like they only care about the single player aspect there. Now, I can play devil's advocate here and say that that's kind of a good thing, because a lot of games nowadays is solely focused on multiplayer and they don't really care about single player. And I actually feel like that is one of the major downfalls of the gaming industry at this point. A lot of games have been dying because you play it a couple times with your friends and that's it. It's like a little party game that you play, right? And these games right here are not designed to really be that. So I can understand why they would have a system like that in place. But at the same time, even Diablo 2, man, one of the cool things about Diablo 2 was you could run around in a group of, what was it, 8 people, I believe, you know, 8 of your friends. And you guys can just go around bashing monsters in the face. But then again, Diablo 2 had that exact same issue. So I don't know if that's really the best example for me to bring up. But moral of the story is I really hope that they introduce personalized loot. I just like it more. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I really feel like Diablo 4 actually did that better. Which I hope to God I never ever once have to say that again about any other game in my entire life. Because it just feels scummy, right? Just to even say that, you know? Not that Diablo 4 is a terrible game. I do like Diablo 4 a lot, but I do also enjoy this, right? Where I have more options, and I feel like this is really geared more towards me than it would be towards a casual player. I just wish that we could find some kind of happy medium so that everyone can enjoy the games. And, you know, and if everyone enjoys the games, they're going to make more money. So couple more points and then I swear to God I will shut up and you guys will not have to listen to me no more if you're even still here. In fact, if you are still here from earlier in the video, let me know, man. Like, please, I don't know, put something in the comments that says STFU and I'll know that you actually stayed to this point. I have to talk about this one because I feel like a lot of people will probably get confused over this, and maybe that's just because I myself am a noob at Path of Exile. But let me pull up the skill tab here. So this right here, I don't know how I really feel about this. Now, it is cool that we have multiple gems that we can put in here, right? And I know it's something I'm gonna need to get used to, but it keeps confusing me from when I go into my inventory, because I see something like this where it says grants like level 2 freezing shards. So like in this game, you don't really have like a skill tree per se. I guess you could say that's this, where you can pick specific skills. Like I've got Frost Bomb, I got Ice Nova. As you can probably tell, I'm trying to make an ice source. Don't know if it's gonna be good or not, but that's half the fun. But I actually don't have level 2 frost shards. Now I have it on this item, but I don't actually have it over here. And I can very much see people getting confused about that. Now, obviously, I've been able to figure it out because I just have experience and it's really not that hard to really figure out. But I guarantee you, man, there's going to be those people, though, that are like, I don't understand what the hell's going on. I took off this and now I don't have my ice power, but I put points in the ice over here, so why don't I have my ice power? Ugh, and then they're just gonna throw their controller and never play the game ever again, which is something I'm trying to avoid. So yeah, so I mean, like, you do have this, right? But it's not like one of the abilities that have been granted to you by things that you've like unlocked. You know what I mean? Like, I literally only have this because of this staff right here, and the moment I take the staff off, I no longer have freezing shards. And again, maybe I'm just not knowledgeable enough to understand at this point, which is very, very fair comment to actually say, and I get that. But I'm telling you, man, like, it's just gonna cause problems. So I wish they kind of made this a little clearer and a little easier to understand, especially for those people that have not been playing these games for that long, because I know for a fact that those people are going to freak out. Right now, the cosmetic store, let's see if it's open yet. Well, yeah, it hasn't been open for most of the day for me. Maybe that's just my luck, and that's just what's happening with me. Not that that's really a big deal. I want to say this, though. I do not have a problem whatsoever with these guys trying to monetize their game. I really don't. Now, maybe some things are way too expensive. One thing that pisses me off is, bro, you should never, ever, ever have to spend no 20 freaking dollars on one cosmetic. You know, but Diablo, Apex, you know, most of those games do that. And to this day, I will always be pissed about that. I do not understand how anybody can think that $20 is a fair price for a cosmetic. What I've seen so far, like 80 gold, I don't know how much that is. If that's $80, I'm gonna be pissed. But if that means it's like $1 or something like that, then, you know, okay, that's a fair price, right? Like $2, $3 for this over here, you know, like $1 over here, like $3 for some wings. And again, I haven't bought gold yet, so I don't know, because I've been trying to do that, and I just think it's down. See, like, it just sits here in queue for hella days, so I don't know. But it is in here. I don't have a problem with them doing it, though, because at least to me, it appears that they have relatively decent prices. And with this being a free game in the future at full release, they need something, right, to actually make money from, because they're giving the game away for free. So I don't have an issue with that. In fact, I think that's one of the things I want to say is kind of cool about it, is the fact that I don't really feel like they're taking crazy advantage of us. Now, that might change by tomorrow if this stuff actually comes online and I look at it and it turns out 200 gold is $20. Because I'm going to tell you right now, man, if 200 gold is $20, $20 for a premier stash tab bundle, hell no. Hell no, man. It's like, what is this, Metal Gear Survive, where I have to pay $20 for an extra save slot? But yeah, so I mean, I'm assuming that's like $2. So if that is like $2, then okay, cool. Those are some fair prices, right? But if that is $20, then y'all can go F yourself with that. You can miss me, man. I ain't doing that one. No, thank you. Not at all. So yeah, long story short, there are some bugs that they need to get fixed. It does seem like a very enjoyable game. There are a few points that I hope they get resolved, especially when it comes to the multiplayer. But other than that, I really do think that this looks like a very fun game. I'm excited to play it in the future. I wanted to stream it, but the servers were just not letting me do it. Every time I would try to stream it, man, I was getting lag all over the place. The lag was terrible, but it is better now. Then they've literally updated it twice since I installed it, and I appreciate that. At least it's not like some of these other companies that will download something, you know, onto the internet and then walk away from it, and then it takes them like 3 days to fix whatever it is that's broken, or more, depending on the type of game. If it's a fighting game, bro, like, good luck with that. You know, those characters are going to be busted for the next month and a half, if not to the next season. But these guys, I can say the opposite about. They're obviously on top of it, and they're obviously trying to actually make the game better. But hopefully that what I just saw was just some kind of weird glitch, and I saw it wrong. Because if it isn't, Oh boy. Yeah, that might actually turn into like one of them freaking Asmongold videos, man, where we're showing like, oh, big naked titties in Path of Exile too, because the way the freaking media is nowadays, man. I mean, remember the hot coffee incident when it came to GTA 3, but that's enough for me, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and shut up. Yeah, so I'm shutting up right now. Goodbye. You all have a good night. Thank you for being here, and late.